Well, my name is Dink Kearney. I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina, but I live in Durham, North Carolina. I grew up most of my life in Raleigh. Graduated from high school in 1991. Went into the military, 82nd Airborne Division, jumped out of airplanes, and I love to write, and I'm also a comedian. Well, I'm glad you asked me that because a lot of people want to know where I got the idea from. And I tell everybody, and it's the truth, I was in church one day, and I saw a young kid, it's a young boy, might have been 12 or 13 years old, and he was a cancer patient, and his attitude was real upbeat. He was in church, he was singing, he was clapping, he was standing up, he was just highly motivated. And I said, wow, I said, this kid is like 12 or 13 years old, and he has cancer, but you could never tell it by the way, you know, he's acting and behaving. You know, his spirit was so high. And right then and there, this song came on called The Eye of the Sparrow. And immediately I got the thought, I said, the Sparrow Will Fly. And I wrote that title down. I wrote it right there in church, the title, The Sparrow Will Fly. And when I got home, I started writing it. I just started writing the book about him. Because the inspiration came from a little boy. And I had the opportunity to talk to him later. And just watching and talking to him, I was like, man, this kid is doing a lot of things. He still was in school, he was making good grades, and he had cancer. And they found, of course, he beat cancer, the kid in church. But that's where the inspiration came from, and I wrote it off of that. Plus, by me being a big basketball fan, I wanted to bring in, you know, some basketball. Since I live in North Carolina, I live in the heart of basketball country. You got Duke, Carolina, NC State, within like a 25-minute radius. And since I'm a State fan, I wrote the book from that perspective, and I also wrote it because Jimmy Valvano, the late Jimmy Valvano, the coach at NC State University, he had cancer. But he lived through it, and he did not let cancer defeat him. So that also further inspired me to write the book once I saw him and I thought about Jimmy Valvano. And I also wrote the book because I want anybody to have cancer or any other grave disease, I want them to find inspiration from this book. That it doesn't have to be the end of the world because you have a disease. You don't have to let it encompass you. You encompass it. You take control of it. So that was how it came. That was the inspiration from it. What I want people to get from this book is this: when you get challenged in life, you don't give up. You take the challenge upon yourself and you control the challenge. So you can apply it to anything. It don't have to just be a disease. It could be anything. Losing a job, losing a girlfriend, losing a wife. Anything that turns your life upside down, it doesn't have to be the end of it. In life, we have choices. We either decide to do something about something or not.